Hello, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is your first time visiting. Today we are doing the next part in my massive tarot collection and declutter series. It isn't just tarot decks, we have tarot and oracle. The way that I formatted this series is that I am literally, I store my decks on racks on the wall. Let me see if I can insert some photos or video for you. As you can see, there was one completely empty rack. That empty rack is what I have stacked up beside me. Everything that is next to me was hanging on that rack. So without further ado, we're just going to jump into it. This is meant to be a pretty chaotic collection declutter video series. I'm not trying to be super polished with this. I just want to go over my decks with you, show you everything I've got, be honest about whether it's working for me or what I think about it right this minute. And that's how we're doing this. So let's get into it. I just realized I was wearing my editing headphones, so I took those off. All right, let's jump into it. The first deck on the pile is this one. This is the Wild Messengers Tarot. This is currently out of print. This is a deck by Lola Pickett with animal art by Tanya Castile. I don't think this is coming back. I wish that it would, but my version of this deck is heavily modified, so please understand that I really took this and ran with it. So I actually fell in love with this deck because of the guidebook. It's the guidebook that I love. And so I really, 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 really love the guidebook. And because I love the guidebook so much, I took snippets from the guidebook and used a black Sharpie and put it into or onto the cards. It was challenging on some than on others, more so than others. The ones that had lots of white space, this was an easy modification to do. But one of the things that I thought was really special about the guidebook is that each guidebook had sort of I don't know if I want to call it like an affirmation, but sort of like an invocation in a way. Like, for example, Giraffe, help me to be courageous and discerning in who I share my full self with. May I always remember to take the high road. And then, I sort of edited that down somewhat from whatever the full message was. And then there was a message where it was like Giraffe speaks. And here's what I wrote down from that little tidbit from the guidebook. You're only a misfit if you're trying to fit into spaces and choices and relationships which are too small for you. Remember, you are incomparable. And I thought that was really, really beautiful. So that's what I've done throughout the entire deck, is shared a snippet from the sort of invocation and then a snippet from that animal speaks. And it's been just really, really, really powerful. Here we have Humpback Whale. Help me receive and create a supportive network to accomplish more than I ever could on my own. And then from this Humpback Whale, we have Breathe through every changing season. Here's the Ladybug. Ladybug, help me to have the courage to listen to my heart. Help me hear your joyful whisper. And Ladybug says, listen for the message your heart wants you to hear. Koala, help me to see and receive my blessings in any circumstances and at all times. Koala says, there are many things to be grateful for right in this moment. It's time to count your blessings. Where your attention goes, energy flows. And it goes like that through the whole deck. So I really, this modification took me a long time because I sat with the guidebook. I pulled the messages that I felt like really fit. There was a couple cards where it was challenging and I had to find just the right marker, like with Spider. Spider, help me to weave my stories and share my magic. And Spider says, the stories you tell become the spell. But I had to use like a metallic Sharpie and it was tricky. Dragon, help me to transmute fear into fuel. Dragon says, notice where you are out of integrity. Griffin, protect me from harm. And no is a complete sentence is what Griffin says. So just all of this stuff came from the guidebook. The guidebook is beautiful. Again, this is an out of print deck, so I'm not trying to like torture you. But the artwork itself, while it's beautiful, it didn't leave me a lot to read with. And so I kind of turned this into a really powerful animal alchemical oracle, essentially, is what I've done. I don't really read this like a tarot, but the messages are so beautiful and they are very, very aligned with the tarot. I wanted to turn this into something that I could make my own. And that's what I've done with this. It's really cool. I definitely am not planning to get rid of this. I do need to fix the cord on my bag. This is actually a throwback. These cords are a throwback to when Peggy first started her shop like 5-6 years ago now. I guess it would be 6 years ago or so. We found a batch of this just really beautiful satin heavy braided cord and put it in everything for a little while. But most of mine have her regular cord and so it doesn't match and it bugs me. So I've got to change it out at some point. That's the punchline. Anyways, Wild Messengers, Alchemical, Tarot. Really, really beautiful deck. Next up in the pile is the Luminous Void Tarot. This cracks me up because in a prior part of this deck collection series, I was trying to call an Oracle deck the Luminous Void Oracle deck, which is hilarious, but like Yeah. And ironically, actually, this is a deck that I regularly and constantly forget the name of. I don't know why. I reference it all the time. It is a very, very unique, special deck. This is by Laura Zuspin. And the Luminous Void it's unlike anything. It's unlike anything else. And it's that unique quality to it that I just fell in love with. This is the Shuffle edition. When this deck first came out, I had it, and it was much larger than this, and it was impossible to handle. It was so big, and the shape is not the easiest to shuffle to begin with. But this was probably, when I first got the first edition of it, it was the highest quality deck I'd ever touched at the time. Rose petal finishes are not very cheap to do. The gold foiling was just stunning. The way that it was applied against the rose petal finish, so beautiful. The matte antique gold gilding just holds up so well. It's just a beautifully produced deck, and I'd never seen one that was in this shape before. In any case, the artwork itself is watercolor, but it's a really smushy, that's the way I usually describe it, a very smushy, I don't want to call it messy, but it's very smushy watercolor. And it creates these shapes that are unexpected and a little bit off-putting, actually, if I'm being completely honest. This is not an art style that I find specifically beautiful, and that's no offense to the artist. It actually, though, is an art style that feels incredibly intuitive and powerful. So when I read with this deck, I feel like I get into a purely intuitive space, and I feel like if I were to ever decide I don't want to keep this deck, I would simply keep it. I don't know how to describe this. I would keep it, but I would keep it as a collectible. I do have a spot in my bedroom, and I'm probably going to show those decks as part of this collection series, because I'm going to try to show everything. That's the goal. But I have a spot where I sort of keep decks, but I want to take all the pressure out of feeling like I need to use, and I keep very few for that reason. But there are a few that I want to hold on to because I feel like I would regret them if I let them go, but I don't really feel called to use them, and having them hanging on a rack makes me feel pressured to use them. In any case, my point to all of that babbling is to say that if I ever felt like I needed to get rid of this deck, or I felt like I wasn't using it, it wasn't for me anymore, I think I would still keep it and have it as a collectible. And that is, it's just really special. Anyway, the Luminous Void Tarot Guidebook. I don't know why I said guidebook. It's because I was reading it. The Luminous Void Tarot is just beautiful. It's very safe. I like this bag for it, even though the colors don't match. I like the smushy watercolor art on the fabric, and it reminds me of this deck. So that's why I put it in there, in case you're curious. But anyway, Luminous Void Tarot, very, very safe. Okay, let's talk about two that I can never decide what to do with. These are ones that I keep, but I really don't use, but also I kind of want, and there's a weird logic here. So this is in one of Peggy's divided bags. So this is actually two decks. So let me pull them out. So I have the Mystical Cats Tarot and the Magical Dogs Tarot. So these are both Llewellyn decks, and they literally are exactly what they sound like they are. They are a cat tarot and a dog tarot. Now, I am definitely more a dog person than a cat person. See, every time I look at this, I'm like, no, I need to keep this. I don't reach for this deck. I don't read with this deck. But the thing is, there are so many fabulous dog decks that come out, and every time a new dog deck comes out, I'm like, I need that. And then I remember that I have this, and I'm sure I've said this exact same thing. I know that I've said this exact same thing in past videos, but knowing that I have this deck keeps me from buying all the other ones. And I will say, as dog decks go, and same thing with cat, I assume, but I'm just more of a dog person, so I'm going to talk about this one. I feel like it shows dog behavior. It makes sense. It feels very doggy, dog energy-y. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It just feels really good. It feels like it captures dog energy, but it's not honing in on any particular breed. This dog reminds me of my childhood dog, Chipper, so much. I think he was a Springapoo. I don't know. We were told he was a Cockapoo, but he was way too big. So I don't know. But, I mean, I just love that there's just a mix. Like, look at the fat bulldog there. Oh my God. And I love that all the different breeds are mixed up together. Corgi. It's so great. It's so great. And I feel like I don't fixate on the fact that my dogs aren't in this deck when I use this, but I feel like this is a deck that I just want. I just want to have it. And if I were to do a reading for or about my dogs, I would reach for this. I have not done that yet. I don't know. Part of me just wants to, I don't know. Maybe I don't want to know. Maybe I don't want to dig too deep in there. I don't know. I don't know what my situation is, but I just want to have this. And I think because I have a dog tarot, for the same reason, I want the compatible by the same, I think these are both by Mickey Mueller, if I remember correctly, but I could be wrong. But the Mystical Cats, this is the Magical Dogs. The Mystical Cats is the same exact thing, but it's cats. And I don't know which came first, but oh my God, look at this little kitten. The sea kitten. Oh my gosh, so cute. They're just great. They're just fun. And I don't know, it's just nice to have a matching cat and dog tarot in my collection. And I keep them in the same bag. They don't take up much space. So yeah, these aren't really on the chopping block. But I feel like it'd be so fun to do a cat and dog like reading. I don't know. They're just fun. I feel like I probably could, though, put these in the section of decks that I just keep, but I don't use. And maybe that's what I should do. I was just talking about that section. I really don't reach for these regularly, but I could put them on that shelf so that they're not taking up my hanging rack space, because I really don't reach for them on the regular. They're very much kind of a collectible, I would say, at this point. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put them on that rack. Next up is a deck I absolutely adore. Haven't reached for it lately, but this is the Dream Vision Tarot. This is by, oh, I always forget her name. I'm so bad at that. This is difficult to read, but I think it says, we fully awaken when we sleep. Close your eyes and see. Let your dreams be your, can't tell that. Begin from within. It's a little bit dark, the lettering against that background, but any case, this is a really powerful deck. This is the first edition of the Dream. Oh, Emma Zhang. That's right. Emma Zhang. This is the first edition of the Dream Vision Tarot. I freaking love this deck. It reads so well for me. I love the colors. It's so soft and pretty. I really want to reach for this more than I do. It actually does also have quite a balanced energy. It doesn't feel, if anything, I would say it leans slightly masculine for me when I think about it, but it's such a cool deck. I love this Empress. She's so beautiful. It really does feel like a spirit guide deck to me. Like if I feel like I want to have a conversation with guides, this is one that jumps to mind and jumps into my hand, to be honest. It just feels like that. These don't feel like earthly beings to me, but they don't feel like aliens. They do feel like they're representations of spirit. And I think Emma's vision for this deck was for it to be about dreams and the dreaming world. But for me, this feels very much like guides. Now, the newer printing of this deck, the card titles are sort of worked into the artwork, so they're a little bit less obvious. But I really like this first edition. I'm not sure that I'd want to have to hunt for the cards. I like the card titles. I like that they're just all in the same place. But I did think of picking up that second version. I just love her art style. It's so beautiful. So she has another deck, it's a Thoth-based one, and it's very Egyptian feeling, and I forget the name of it now. But anyways, this is a beautiful deck, and I freaking love it. This is the Dream Vision Tarot, the first edition. There is a website or some kind of guidebook. I read this purely intuitively, and I love it like that, so I wouldn't change a thing. Alrighty, next up is the Penelope Tarot. I had a whole thing about this when I was filming my part 1 of this series, because I was pulling out the little, what's it called? The new version of this is called the Veluria Tarot. It's by Rockpool, I believe, and it's great. And I was like, as I was playing with that deck, I was missing my full size, which that deck is based on, which is called Penelope's Tarot. This is the independent version. I love this deck. I prefer this cardstock over the Rockpool cardstock and the Veluria Tarot, and it just is a nicer shuffle, and I just missed the full size, so I actually am letting go of my Veluria pocket. That's actually in my basket of things that are like leaving through this process, and I'm keeping this instead. I had to dig this out, but I have it now. I'm really happy to have it back. I had it just sort of tucked away somewhere. I love this tower. It's a great little pip deck. I love the limited color palette. This is a fun one. I love the blue edging against these backs. It's fantastic. And it's such a simple design and simple style, and yet I just adore it. This is by Sam West. I do need a bag that matches it a little better, though, because this situation, this is not it. Actually, I might have something. That's a much better match. Look at that. All right. That's going to be the match for that one. So that is the Penelope's Tarot. All right, next up on the pile is the Star Tarot. My copy is from the first edition of the Star Tarot. This is a Schiffer publication, and it was glossy. It had giant borders. I trimmed mine down. This is a hand scissor trim. I can tell. It's a hand scissor trim. I edged the deck in cards in colors that just sort of pulled in all these like galaxy shades. I actually had this in, I want to say it was actually originally in this bag. What's in here now again? What did I do? Oh, I put that in there. But it really was designed to match this. I think I'm going to put this back in its original bag. I think I need to find a different bag for Wild Messengers. Not me just reorganizing my bags while I'm here. It's fine. See, I wonder if Wild Messengers wouldn't match better with that. Why, yes, it would. So, Wild Messengers. So this one's going to be available for something else. Wild Messengers. Okay, not me just getting distracted by bags. Anyways, this is hand trimmed down to borderless, and I used silver Sharpie to note which card it was. These cards are absolutely beautiful. It's a really special deck. Again, this is one that, if I'm being honest, I don't ever reach for this. I really don't. But it's also another one that it has a lot going for it. It's got a lot of Thoth in here that I feel like I can see, but it's also got RWS, and it's also got a lot of numerology references. It's got a lot of depth, and I love this little hand-trimmed copy. I thought about getting the newer version because my hand-trimmed copy just really doesn't shuffle that great. Let's just see. I don't know if this is one that, like, it's pretty great. It's pretty great. Let me just lay out some cards. I don't know. I feel like I'm debating with myself because the reality is I don't really read with it. But it is also one of those decks that, this is the copy of it that I bonded with, this little hand-trimmed version. And yeah, it's a little clumpy when I shuffle it, but it's fine. Let's see what card jumped out. The Seven of Pentacles. It's kind of like I've put the work into it, and maybe I just need to have patience with this deck and wait for it to have its season. It is beautiful. I'm not sure. I'm going to put it to the side, and we're going to revisit it again at the end of this video. But it is kind of nice. Even though this bag is way oversized for it, it does match it perfectly. Okay, we'll think about that some more in a little bit. Let's grab another one off the pile. This is the Ritual Tarot. This is a fabulous deck. Super fun, very unique. This is the first edition before there is the marked. Now, I haven't had this out in a little bit. When I first did my walkthrough for this, and when I was first working with it, I had no trouble knowing which card was which. And I wonder, now that it's been a bit, if I will struggle. I'm already struggling. Oh no. Okay, I know that's the Lust card. That's, of course, the Seven of Wands. The Eight of Wands. Nope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of Wands. 9 of Wands. Fine. Queen of Swords. The Five of Pentacles. This looks like the Hierophant, maybe? Uh-oh. It was so good when I'd first done my walkthrough. High Priestess. No, this is the Chariot. We've got our wheels, we've got the Sphinx, we've got the crab, that's the Chariot. It does slow me down, interestingly enough. There's our Four of Swords. Nope, or is that the Three of Swords? Feels like the Four of Swords. Maybe I do need the new marked edition. Oh no. The Two of Swords. I went through a whole phase with this deck where I was pulling it out all of the time, and I loved it. It was so cool. And now I'm looking at it, and I am not sure anymore. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of Swords. 2 of Pentacles. It's funny, I like used it so much initially. And I was going through, I think there was a bit of a whole renaissance in the tarot community. I don't know what you'd call it. We were all about all the collage decks. And I had such a great time with this. I really did. That's definitely the High Priestess. Do we have a camel in here somewhere? Yep, there's a camel. I had such a great time with it, and now I'm looking at it, and I'm like, it's not... I love that card. I am not feeling it. What is going on? So I think this is... I'm going to put this off to the side. We're going to think about it. This is a deck that I had such a great time with that it's hard for me to imagine not keeping it. But on the other hand, I feel like unless I'm using it all of the time, I would need the marked edition just to confirm what card I'm looking at. And then I think I would really enjoy it, because the thing is, the marked edition, the way she did it, her vision for this deck was not to have titles on it. So I think if she put titles on the front, that would not work. But what she did is she did a really intricate kind of back design and kind of hid the name of the card into the back design in a really subtle way. So you could go and look for it if you needed it. Like it was like a reference, but like flashcards, think of it like that. So you didn't have to rely on it. I feel like I would need that if I was going to work with this deck regularly, because as much as when I was first working with it, and I was working with it all the time, it really, really, really stuck in my mind which card was which. All of a sudden, now that I've let it sit for a little while, it's not working. And I'm like, shoot. But I think this is a really cool deck. I don't know. Should I get the marked edition and let this first edition go? Oh, shoot. Okay, well, we're going to put it in the pile. We'll revisit it at the end of the video, like I said. Okay, well, let's talk about another collage deck. This one is safe for me. This is the Voyager Tarot. Now, the difference between this and the Ritual Tarot for me is that the Voyager, this copy I keep coming back to again and again, because this is the older, more out of print version of this deck. There is a newer mass market that is got a different color to the borders. They're a little darker, and the cards are a little smaller. This edition is pretty big. But I love it because I can sink into the artwork, and this one, while it's just as busy, if not, it's actually much busier in my view than the Ritual Tarot is. But what I like about this is we do have the titles on here, and I've got a lot of resources for studying this deck. I not only have the collage, which is great and fun to dig into, and the little guidebook that comes with the deck, but I also have the big chunky guidebook, or rather book, about this deck that I was able to buy online, that lets me dig even deeper. So I still really enjoy this. I actually think possibly because of this deck, I really don't feel as attached to the Ritual Tarot. Or maybe it's more that this one has more lasting power with me, because I'm more familiar with these images. I've worked with this deck a lot longer, over many more years. I didn't have it for a long time, but I've gotten read with it a lot, especially in my 20s. So it's familiar. It's familiar and it's comfortable for me in a way that the other one isn't. And this one too, if it didn't have titles on the cards, I think I'd have the exact same problem. So this one is safe, but I'm not sure about the Ritual. Okay. Let's talk about the Tarot of the Crone. Okay. I've gone back and forth with this deck. I still don't feel like it's the right time for me with this deck, but I also don't want to let it go. This is the independent version. I don't know if this is ever going to come out mass market. I don't know what the story is, but this has plain black backs that have been edged in black as well. They didn't come edged. I can't remember if I edged them in black or if the person who had this deck before me edged it in black, but I really wasn't sure about this deck. I went back and forth. I was actually going to let it go. And then I found out about a digital guidebook that you could purchase from Ellen Lorenzi Prints that goes in more depth. So I purchased it, and it wasn't digital, it was like a printable. So I printed it. It's called the Tarot of the Crone Playbook. Holy cow. So let's just look up the Nine of Wands, because this made all the difference for me. There's so much in here. So this is what, I think it's the same size. Here's what it says in the playbook. The Nine of Wands casts no shadow, only ripples of power. Light and darkness recreate their ancient dance within her, and the flow of power is the result. Her internal balance is not static, but is dynamic, made in each moment, and she knows both sides of strength, the center and the edge. And then there's these prompts you can consider. What does it mean to have personal power? What helps you develop and dance with power? What is your center, your core of power? What is your edge, your individuality and purpose of expression? And that's what you get for that card. So it's not a guidebook, but it goes more, right? It gives you more, because in the guidebook, what you get for the, what is this? The Nine of Wands. It says, power, above and below they meet in me, the sun and the moon, they meet in me. My being shines, my quest fulfilled. And it says, 7 flames within, with the lights of the sun above and the moon below, send energy dancing through the figure's black cloak. It crackles and swirls in the red storm of vitality surrounding her. This card represents real power, power that can enliven every aspect of your life, from the health of your body to the expansion of your dreams. Power requires grounding and desires reaching. It wants you to connect both to the universe and to your own deep self. This touch is not a static thing, but a dance, a relationship. It's not something you can hoard or hold on to. The nature and strength of your life and all life is to move and change. Make the connections and your life will flow. So this has got so much depth and substance to it that it's something that I feel like is here for times in my life when I might need it. It definitely is filled with obviously Crone energy and that sort of deep wisdom that I usually would think of with Ellen Lorenzi Prince's decks in general. This one I really feel it. I really feel it. And in a lot of ways, this deck feels more approachable than the Dark Goddess Tarot, which I have a relationship with and have had for so much longer. But that this one actually gives me, in a way, more than just a goddess myth. Not just a goddess myth. That sounds terrible. All of Ellen Lorenzi's Prince's stuff are so full of substance and meaning. But it hasn't been my time with this deck to really, really, really get to know it. But it's also one that I know that later on down the line, I feel like I'm going to need this deck in my life. I've been feeling it for a long time. Like there's going to come a time when I need this. And so that is why I hold on to it. And I'm okay with the fact that I'm not really reaching for it a ton right now. So that is the Tarot of the Crone. And again, highly recommend this Tarot of the Crone playbook. It's available as a printable, a PDF that you can get right on Ellen Lorenzi Prince's website. And as far as I know, it's still available. I'll try to remember to link it down below for you. Okay, let's grab another deck from the pile. We have the Tyldwick Tarot. This is the very first edition. Again, very safe in my collection. I actually bought this just after... It was like almost immediately after the original creator of this deck had unfortunately passed away. And I didn't know that at the time, but I was at a tarot conference and I walked past a vendor. Sadly, actually, the vendor who sold this to me also like the next year passed away. It's just got this particular deck. I feel like it came to me at exactly the right time. There's something really spectacular about it. Now, this is the very first edition. It feels incredibly high quality. The gilding is just breathtaking. It's a really high quality gilding. And as I recalled, it had actual gold in the gilding. Like it's not just gold color, but actually had gold in it. I don't know. I don't remember if that's true or if I'm remembering it wrong. But this deck is devoid of people. It is a little bit like a sort of murky walk through an abandoned mansion or wealthy person's property. I don't know how else to describe it. But it feels a little bit like wandering through someone else's home, looking at their memories, looking at their rooms, imagining what took place there, who people are when they're pictured or there's pictures hanging on the wall, that sort of thing. There's an emptiness to it and there's a slowness to it. I don't read with this a ton, but it is incredibly unique and offers a perspective on the tarot that I appreciate. It's kind of an automatic path working deck for me. I wonder if my relationship, though, with it will change because some of the details are harder to see than others, particularly as my eyes age a bit. And yeah, I can wear reading glasses, but let's be real. When things are hard or when they're a little inconvenient, we tend to reach for them less. And I wonder if that will be the case for me with this deck someday. I believe the newer editions of this deck, the colors are a little richer or some clarity has been added to the deck, just a bit. And the cardstock is different on the newer edition, but I just love this original copy. It was not an inexpensive deck, and it does feel like luxurious to play with. So I enjoy it. It's one of those decks that I pull out when I need this energy. I especially will reach for this when I feel like I need to slow down. I need to do a reading, but I need to sit with the energy in a slower way. So the Tyldwick is definitely safe. There's actually a couple of out-of-print decks in this particular pile, and I think that's because the rack that I pulled from are decks that I typically reach for a little bit less often, but that are really rich. That's usually what's on this rack. The cat and dog deck was a bit of an anomaly there, but the rest of these feel pretty like dense. Let's go into this one. This is the Wiser Tarot. I love this deck. However, I can't decide what to do about this deck. So this was actually sent to me by Wiser Books, and it wasn't really on my radar, but as Rider-Waite-Smith decks go that I would actually want to read with, this one tops the list. And I have another one. Maybe that's the issue, actually. No, I have one in a tin that I keep for studies. This one is just got some updates to the coloration. It just brings in a little bit of a variety of skin tones. That's really mostly what it's done. And I like the updated backgrounds, but actually, like I used this a ton when I first got it, and now I'm looking at it and I'm like, I do really, really like it. And there's a part of me that wishes I was that girl that read with the Rider-Waite-Smith, but in truth, I just don't. I have a full-size classic Rider-Waite-Smith that I talked about in part 1 of this collection series, as well as a mini that's in a tin that I can take with me to conferences. But when it comes to actually pulling this out for clients, I don't. I do enjoy having a good Rider-Waite-Smith to just whip out and pull now and then, especially if I want a really straightforward answer to something. But, and I played with this a ton. It actually sat next to me in my living room, and I was constantly pulling readings with it, just really basic everyday readings. The cardstock isn't completely awesome, but in fairness, I have shuffled the ever-loving crap out of this deck. I think I've gotten my value out of it. I think that's where I'm landing with this. I think I got my value out of it. I'm guessing my time with it is probably done, but oh my gosh, if you're looking for, if you love reading with like the basic Rider-Waite-Smith, I do think this version is really nice. I do like the introduction of more diversity in skin tone. It's something. It's something. When we're talking about really wanting to stick with Pamela Coleman Smith's original illustrations, a recoloration gives us something to bring more of that variety of people into the reading, which is nice if you read for this kind of deck with clients. So I think it's a good one, but I think it's going to be, I think it's probably going to be leaving my collection. I'll put it in the pile. We'll revisit at the end. Okay, we're about the halfway point here, so I feel like it's time for our commercial break. What do you think? Let's talk about my deck. Listen, I told y'all I was going to annoy you, but here's the thing. My Kickstarter just launched last Saturday. Are you kidding? I don't even know. I'm recording this before that's happened, so we're time traveling right now. And I am manifesting in this moment as I film this video that we've already funded. Heck, we've already hit our first few stretch goals. That's what I'm hoping has happened. But if you don't know, and if I don't know that that's happened, maybe check on it. And if you haven't backed this deck yet and you think you might be into it, maybe take a peek. Let me tell you what the heck I'm talking about. This is the Unicorn's Journey Tarot. It is the tarot deck that I've created. I've been working on this for 1.5 years. It is all of my designs, all of the story is mine, everything is mine. I came up with the whole thing, and I hired an artist to illustrate those ideas. That is how this came to be. The illustrator, Francesca Paocchi, is fabulous. She's a talented artist. These were all digitally painted, but she did an absolutely beautiful job. She is a traditional watercolorist as well, and a traditional painter. She works in oils, she works in watercolor, and she brings all of those skills to the table when we're talking about digital illustrations as well. There is no AI in this deck for anybody that might be concerned. I have gotten that question a couple of times, but absolutely not. This is a real artist who I hired, who I continue to work with. She and I are working on other projects as well right now that I am very excited about. The Unicorn's Journey Tarot is a narrative story about a little unicorn who doesn't know they're a unicorn, and they learn that they're a unicorn, and then they go on these fabulous little adventures, some of them more challenging than others, and learn a lot about who they are, what they're capable of, about their self-worth, about a sense of personal empowerment. They find their family. It's really a beautiful world and story, and I cannot wait for you all to be able to experience it. So my Kickstarter is live right now, unless something has gone terribly awry. It is live right now. With any luck, we're already funded and cruising towards or past stretch goals, but this is the base model, I guess you could say, of the tarot deck, the one that will happen if the Kickstarter funds. If we hit stretch goals, we get to bling this baby out, right? We get to take our already premium quality cardstock and add things to it like colored edges and holographic details, and we upgrade the box and all of that stuff. Most excitingly, I have a stretch goal that will introduce 2 bonus cards that I am very excited about. And it's been very difficult for me to keep secret. Now, with any luck, I've already revealed them because we've already hit this stretch goal. But like, since I'm time traveling, I don't know that yet. So I'm just saying, I really want to be able to reveal these. So if you have not checked out my Kickstarter, there will be a link for that in the description box down below so that you can check it out if this is your taste, if you think you might be into a unicorn deck or might be into a self-worth themed deck. But I'm going to end my plug here. Thank you for putting up with my personal plug for the thing that I've been working on for a very long time. Let's get into the rest of the decks. We got to talk about the tabletop tarot. This is Don Michelle's fault. I mean, it's my fault because I'm an adult and I made the decision to purchase this deck. However, Don Michelle made me buy it. Like, really. She called it the Legends and Lattes Tarot, and it stuck, and now it's stuck. I have not worked with it yet. It came in. I love it though. I really want to give it some more time. I haven't done a full walkthrough of it. The cardstock is nice. It's like really nice classic cardstock, and it's all like it's basically D&D based. It's tabletop role-playing game based, more accurately. But of course, if you're familiar with tabletop games like Dungeons and Dragons, or you play games like Baldur's Gate, some of these characters and types of characters are going to feel familiar. I freaking love that death unicorn. It's really fun. It feels cozy. It feels fun. It feels charming. There's just really great characters in here. I feel like there's so many games I've played or books I've read where I would have imagined meeting these exact characters. I do really enjoy the art style as well in this deck. So it's super fun. I have, like I said, not worked with it yet. I don't care. I like it. It's a Rider-Waite-Smith clone with a D&D bend. That's basically how I see it. And I am here for it. So that is the Tabletop Tarot. It's safe. It's not going anywhere. I think it's probably hanging on the wrong rack, but I do need to reorganize my racks a bit. There's a bit of a system, but like the system isn't great. So the rack that I've pulled decks from today typically contains mostly my deeper decks with a mishmash of other things and a couple of pip decks. That's sort of the vibe of what I had on that rack. Anyway, the next deck in our pile today is the Shimmering Veil Tarot, and oh my gosh, is this not a breathtaking, incredible, beautiful deck? Oh my gosh. It is my hands down favorite of all of Cilla Conway's decks, and she has created some beautiful things. Some beautiful things. I own several of her things. But the Shimmering Veil Tarot truly blows me away. There is holographic rainbow edges, which we love this. This does break down over time. It won't look that pretty forever, but gosh, I've used this deck a lot and it's held up pretty decently, actually. Oh, look at the bling. It's amazing. Anyways, this has such a gorgeous art style, and because the artwork is borderless and the labels for what card it is are kind of tucked into the corner, it's very unobtrusive. It's a really great deck to work with. It draws me right into a more psychic place when I'm working with these. It really gets me out of my head and out of my way. I love this deck. In fact, this hung on my favorites rack and my workhorse rack for a long time, and then I swapped it out because I was just not reaching for other things. And now that I'm looking at it, I feel like it needs to go back there and I need to swap something else out, but I don't know. We'll see. I love this deck. It's just special. I mean, look at this, 7 of Fire. Incredible. Cilla's art is inspired, and I can't see it any other way. She feels very tapped in to the spirit realm in general, and I feel that in all of her decks, but this one most of all. This one most of all. And for a lot of people, it's other decks that really won them over to Cilla's art, but this one is really gorgeous. It's incredibly safe in my collection. It's very special. It's going nowhere. Plus, I have the perfect bag match for it, so, that always makes sure that it's a little bit safer. Next up, oh no, I feel like I can feel doubt. I can feel doubt. Well, let's just see. This is the Slavic Legends Tarot. This is a beautiful deck. Is it really at risk, though? I don't know. I don't think so. It's like the box looks like a book. Like, come on. This is such a gorgeously illustrated tarot. I actually truly love it. I don't know a lot of the stories here. I don't have a Slavic background. I have a Celtic background, like Scottish Irish, basically. I shouldn't say Celtic, but Scottish. Yeah, I guess can I say Celtic? Am I allowed to call it that? I don't know. But I have Scottish Irish background primarily. I don't have a lot of Slavic, but this is so freaking beautiful. At the same time, is it something that I love because it's beautiful, but because I don't feel drawn to the stories in this deck, to the characters in this deck, or to the themes, as beautiful, like as stunning as this deck is. Like, look at this Hanged Man. It's incredible. This is incredible. It's so gorgeous. But I think, come on. I think because of the theme, I don't reach for it. And that's a funny thing to say, but I think... yeah, I don't know. I do love seeing redheads in decks, though. It makes me really happy. I think this is one of those things that's just, oh, I do love that Hermit. I really do. But something about this, it just doesn't pull me in as much as some of my other decks. And I think it's just... it's so pretty. It's so pretty. Like as just cards of pretty pictures. You know what I mean? Like as a stack of pretty pictures, it's absolutely beautiful. The tarot is very visible in this deck. You can see, you know what you're looking at. It's got a vibe. It's got a personality. It definitely has a take. Look at that red hair. But at the same time, I don't think it's something that I think about. Like I forget I have it. You know what I mean? It's not really staying at the forefront of my mind ever. It's weird that the Chariot was reversed. None of the other ones were. Anyway, I'm undecided. I'm going to put it in the pile. I'm going to put it on the block, and we'll talk about it at the end, and we'll see if how I feel about it then. Slavic Legends. Okay. Let's pull out the Tarot of Aphrodite. This is by Natasha Fromm. actually really like this deck, but we're talking again about more grown-up, serious decks. I love this cardstock. There's something about it. It's, I think it's a UV matte coating. It's quite lovely. I love the pink borders. To me, I don't see this. I mean, it was made in homage to Aphrodite, but what I see is a deck of really beautiful curated artwork where the curation process is very thoughtful, and the art that shows up in each card feels like the energy of that card. Like this feels like the Princess of Coins. This feels like Justice. This feels like the Five of Cups. And sometimes curated art decks don't do a great job. And like, I guess it's all subjective, but in my view, I don't always see the tarot card. Like I totally see the Six of Cups there and the Ten of Cups there. The Hanged One, Stillness. So I'm not looking at this deck as a way to connect with a particular deity, although I do have an affinity, like a fondness, I guess you could say, maybe not affinity, but a fondness for Aphrodite. I'm not looking at it through that lens. I'm just looking at it as pretty pictures that match the energies of the cards. I love this for the Queen of Cups. So yeah, I really was surprised by this deck, and I did a side-by-side video of this with the Tarot of Delphi, and I found that when it came to connecting to the imagery, that I felt like I connected easier to this imagery than I did the Tarot of Delphi, and I do love that deck, but this is the one that I feel like I'm going to be reaching for when I want that energy. So this is safe for now. We're going to keep an eye on it, but I think it's really beautiful. I do think I probably need a different bag, because as much as the mermaid vibes make sense, I think I'm forgetting that this has got this lovely pink deck in it and not a mermaid deck. But anyways, the Tarot of Aphrodite. Next up, oh, let's see. Let's do this one. Let's do this one next. This is the Majestic Earth Tarot. J.D. Hildegard Hinkle, the creator of the Tarot of Delphi. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is such a freaking beautiful deck. It's so gorgeous. And it's out of print, and I'm sorry. These extra cards are just stunning. This is the Earth card, Spirit, Water, Fire, and Air. Really, really gorgeous. So these are just extra elemental cards. I keep them in the back right now, but sometimes I shuffle them in. And then we, of course, have our guidebook. They're beautifully gilded. This is all landscape art. It is also curated art, but it's got a totally different feel. It's very spacious and immersive. I love the keywords and the symbols that are placed on the bottom banner. I find that this information makes this deck easier to use. Some people don't like that, but I feel like it's easy to just sink into the artwork and ignore all of this. But if you want that, if you want some keywords, if you want something to sort of chew on other than just the image when you're looking at the card, or if you want to sort of really understand how the artist or the curator of this deck, J.D. Hildegard Hinkle, matched the image to the card, the keywords are a pretty good indication of what words might pull those two things together, right? Might pull the tarot together with this artwork. And I think that it does a really good job of bridging that gap. So I really, really enjoy this deck. It's again, really special. I don't have anything else quite like this. I've seen decks that I feel like scratch a similar itch, but because I have this one, I'm going to continue to love and enjoy this one. And one thing I like about this is while it's landscape art, there's a lot of landscapes throughout, obviously. When you look really closely, there's people as well. So here we have the Two of Stone, and you're looking at this bridge, and you're looking at this beautiful scene. But if you get in here with a little magnifier, there's actually a person on a donkey trying to cross this bridge. Let's see if I can show you. I don't know if that's going to come through on camera, but there's the person on the donkey. So it's not empty. It doesn't have the same sort of emptiness that the Tyldwick Tarot has. There's life in this deck, even though obviously there's life in the form of nature. There's really very much a focus on the majesty of Earth, but there's also people. So if you're looking for the people in the deck, you will find them, and you'll find that they line up with the tarot meaning really beautifully. It's a masterfully put together deck, in my opinion, and I absolutely adore it. This is a deck I probably need to stop keeping out because I don't read with it, but it is something that I don't plan to get rid of. This is the 78 Tarot Mythical. This is a collaborative art deck. This was actually signed for me at my first, I think it was my first time at the tarot conference, that the team that worked on this deck signed this for me. It was really great getting to chat with them. The 78 tarot decks in general are really unique because each deck has art from a different artist. So it's 78 different artists. And it's really fun. It's a fun deck. It's something that I enjoy having in my collection, but it's not something I use. Jasmine Beckett Griffith here. I'm not a big person, what am I trying to say? I'm not a big fan of collaborative decks. The art style is a little too all over the place for me to enjoy using it and making it doesn't feel cohesive to me. That's just a subjective thing, right? Like a lot of people love collaborative decks and find they read just fine. I don't know. I just can't seem to quite get on with them. But I will say of all of the 78 tarot collaborative decks, I will maintain that this is the most beautiful. I just think it was so well done, but I think part of that is because I really love the themes. There's all these different themes and stories and myths obviously covered throughout this deck. Mythological creatures, mythological stories, various cultures, and I think it's really neat. So it's cool, but I don't read with it. And because I don't read with it, I feel like this is another one that I should move to my storage shelf, and so that it's not taking up space when I'm trying to choose a deck to like work with, because I don't work with this one. But I think I will keep it in a bag, even though I'm storing it. Okay. Is there anything else I put in my pile that I should consider storing and not hanging? I think the rest of these I want to be able to peruse. So no. Okay, next up is the Tattoo Tarot. Ink and Intuition, I believe is what this is called. This is a really affordable mass market deck. It's fabulous. If you're looking for a good sort of pip deck, if you want to dip your toes into pip decks, I think this is a great one because the pips do give you little hints, I think, about the meaning of the cards in many cases. Not in every case. It's not Marseille, but there's some like kind of Marseille-like arrangement of the pips in some of the cards. Some of the major arcana have Marseille-like nods to them. But then other cards, like the 10 swords, right? There's one sword down and 9 swords sticking out of it. So you get that kind of vibe of like the backstab vibe. Here in the 5 of Wands, it's more pippish, right? The 8 of Swords is more pippish, but you still have something in the center surrounded by the 8 swords. The 10 of Cups are in almost like a rainbow-like configuration here, and there's a peace sign there. But actually, now that I'm looking at this, this is another one where I'm like, I freaking loved this deck for so long. I think for a long time, this was the one I reached for whenever I wanted a pip deck because it just enchanted me. And now I'm looking at it and I'm like, yeah, I'm over it. That's so funny. I would have never expected that. I've had this one for a very long time. Yeah, I love how the 6 of Swords is like a boat. I might be over it. That's so funny. I have other pip decks that I like, and I just wonder if the other pip decks that I reach for have just kind of taken over. See, the 7 of Swords also kind of looks like a boat. Maybe I'm over it. Am I over it? I've raved about this deck, y'all. There's something about it that was very aesthetic. It was really enjoyable. I had a whole moment with it. But I'm looking at it now and I'm feeling nothing. I'm like, is that my mood? Or am I actually just not into it anymore? And I think I might just not be into it anymore. What the heck? But I have another pip deck. I have other pip type decks that I like. I'm just not. Wow. And it's kind of funny because for a little bit there, I would go to reach for a pip deck and I wouldn't reach for this one. And I'd tell myself it's because, well, I always reach for that one. I'll reach for something else. But now I'm looking at it and I'm like, no, I don't feel it at all. Weird. Anyways, I really recommend this deck. It's inexpensive. I think it's a good pip deck. It's fun to play with. I love the kind of playing card style backs. Even though for some reason, and I don't know why they did this, the fronts have like a parchment color and the backs are like bright white. Yeah, I don't even like the way this shuffles right now. That's so weird. Okay, well, whatever. We're going to roll with it because that's what this collection video is all about. We change. We evolve. Things aren't for us anymore. This one, though, this one's definitely still for me. This is the Nicoletta Ciccoli. I think it's literally just called, yeah, no, it's called the Nicoletta Ciccoli Tarot. This is a really unique deck, but I find this very, very intuitive to work with. And I really enjoy it. This pairs perfectly with the companion oracle that goes with this deck, which I'm actually going to grab because I should really be keeping them together. I don't know why I hang them separately. I never quite can decide how I want to arrange my decks. And sometimes, like in this case, I have, I even have them in the same fabric bag. Like they're both in the same bag. The Chicoli Oracle, this is another one where I added keywords. I really made this one mine. I gave myself 2 keywords for each card. And I did that with like a pink metallic Sharpie. So we have the Hierophant and the Hanged One with delicious and malicious here. Here we have the Ace of Swords and the Death card with plenty and never enough. Wow, look at that though. Wow. There's something about this artwork that I just absolutely adore. It sparks something in my intuition. It feels like it does a beautiful job of addressing toxic patterns, unhealthy relationships. It's really, really good for that. Passivity and abdication. And here we have the Empress and we have the Ace of Wands. Trust and naivete. And we have the 5 of Cups and the 2 of Wands. There's just something about this combo. It's really quite powerful. So I really enjoy these. I think I need to hang them together so that I remember to pull them as a set and really work with them. So this is the Nicoletta, or it's actually just called the Chicoli Oracle and the Nicoletta Chicoli Tarot. These are both safe, but I think I do need to hang them together. I might need to do some reorganizing of my racks and actually pair. Like I have my workhorses paired, but I think I need to maybe pair elsewhere on my walls as well because I really enjoy having the deck, the Tarot and the Oracle together. So I think I'll do that. All right, so let's do a quick revisit of the decks I put in my chopping block pile. So we have the Tattoo Tarot. Let's see if I can keep these in frame. So we have the Tattoo Tarot, the Slavic Legends, I think it's called. Yeah, Slavic Legends Tarot. Let's just do like that. We have the Star Tarot. I'm just wondering if this is like a past self deck. We have the Wiser Tarot. Let's just let's put that like that. And then we have the Ritual Tarot. This is the not marked edition by Tira May. I'm not going to put the box in the lid. Okay. What's an easy let go of? Wiser Tarot. My hand went right to it. This one can go. That one can go. Okay. Slavic Legends can go. Yeah, Slavic Legends can go. It's really, really beautiful. It's a really high quality, nice deck, but I'm just not excited to reach for it. Okay. 78, no, I keep wanting to call this 78 Tarot. Tattoo Tarot. Tattoo Tarot can go. It can go. I feel that. I feel like it can go. All right. These two. Okay, the Star Tarot. The Star Tarot. I'm trying to ask myself, if I had not trimmed it, would I be letting it go? I think maybe, yeah. I think that it's beautiful, but it's got so much going on. I love that Page of Wands. It's got so much going on. The guidebook does such an incredible job of going over everything that's in it. I think that what I'm going to do with this one, because I think it's one I could regret later if I'm hasty, I think I'm going to put this on the storage shelf with the other decks that I'm putting on the storage shelf and do that rather than like putting it in purgatory, because I think I think it's just one that I'm not in a place to read with right now, but I also don't want to, I don't want to I feel like it might come up as a study deck with my Unicorn Fan membership, and that could change my relationship with it. I know it's one that we talked about studying, so I think I'm going to keep this, but I'm going to store this. So it's going to go on the storage shelf. And Ritual Tarot, yo, I think I'm going to let this go. I think I'm going to let it go. It's really cool. But I think it was a season deck for me and not a lifetime deck for me. Okay, so let's recap. These are the decks that I think are going to be, these ones are going to be leaving, or going into purgatory, more specifically. These ones I'm going to store. So the dog and cat, the mystical cat and the magical dog, the 78 tarot, mythical, and the star tarot, these three are going to go on my storage shelf. So they're staying in my collection. They're just getting put away so they're not cluttering up my space when I'm not reaching for them. These ones are going to go into the rehoming or purgatory pile. Yeah, I feel like that was productive. I've cleared up some space on my rack. I've taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 decks out of that space. So it'll open it up. And that's what I'm really trying to do here, is really open things up. So that's great. Productive. Alrighty. That concludes today's collection and declutter part, whatever part. Is this part 4? I think this is part 4. That concludes part 4, or whatever part we're in. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really, really appreciate the company. I really appreciate your feedback on all these decks. These are a lot of fun to film, to just sit down and talk about what I have and what I think about it and how I use it and all that kind of stuff. I really enjoy this. There's going to be many more parts to come because I still have quite a few shelves to go over with you. Don't forget to check out my Unicorn's Journey Tarot Kickstarter if you're watching this video when this video is freshly out, because probably the campaign is ongoing right now and it's very exciting and I want to share it with all of you. So don't forget to check that out. There will be a link to that down below, and I will see y'all in the next video. Until then, may your magic always shine from the inside out. Bye.